It started out as a dare. For friends, Daniel, Clara, Marcus, and Lena were driving late one summer night, bored and restless, when they ended up on the edge of town. There, behind a crumbling stone wall, lay the old British cemetery. The place was infamous. People whispered that colonial soldiers were buried there, far from home, and that their spirits had never found rest. Locals claimed you could hear drumming at night, smell sulfur in the air, and sometimes, even worse, hear a child crying. It was almost midnight when Marcus leaned forward from the driver's seat, smirking. "Bet none of you have the guts to go inside," he teased. Daniel groaned. "Seriously? We're not kids anymore." Clara gave a nervous laugh. "Yeah, but you've all heard the stories. People say it's cursed." "Exactly," Lena said. "That's why we should go. What's the point of living if you don't make memories?" So they parked the car on the roadside. The cemetery gate was hanging slightly open, and when Marcus pushed it, the hinges squealed. The four of them stepped inside. The air felt instantly heavier, damp and sour, carrying a sharp chemical tang. Clara wrinkled her nose. "Do you guys smell that?" she whispered. "Sulfur," Daniel said quietly. He'd read enough ghost stories to recognize it. The place was small, overgrown with weeds. Broken gravestones leaned sideways, names and dates worn down to nothing. They stuck close together, flashlights cutting through the dark. Then knock, knock, knock. The sound was sharp, deliberate, and close. "Did you hear that?" Clara asked, her voice shaking. "Yeah," Lena whispered. Marcus swung his flashlight toward the sound. Nothing. Just more gravestones stretching into the shadows. "Probably just a woodpecker," he said, but even he didn't sound sure. The knocking came again. Knock, knock, knock. Slower this time and closer. Daniel swallowed hard. "That's not a bird." They moved deeper in until they found a crumbling monument at the center. Daniel brushed dirt off the inscription. "Here lie soldiers of the crown, far from home." Before he could read more, a new sound rippled through the air, soft and rhythmic. At first it was faint, like a heartbeat underground, then louder, rolling like distant thunder, as if a regiment of soldiers was marching toward them. Clara clutched Daniel's arm. "Please tell me you hear that." He nodded slowly. The vibration seemed to crawl up through the soles of his shoes. Marcus shook his head. "That's traffic or something." "There's no road for miles," Lena whispered. The smell got worse the further they walked. It was choking now like burning matches. Daniel covered his mouth with his sleeve. "This isn't right," he muttered. "That smell, it's brimstone." "Like hell," Clara whispered. Marcus tried to laugh, but it came out weak. "What? You think demons hang out in a British graveyard?" Nobody laughed back. They reached a far corner where the ground dipped, and weeds covered a tiny stone marker. Unlike the others, this one was small, belonging to a child. The moment their flashlights hit it, a sound broke the silence. A cry. Thin, weak, unmistakable. A child wailing in pain. Clara's knees buckled. "No, oh my God, no." The cry rose louder, bouncing around them. It came from behind, above, and under the ground, everywhere at once. "Let's go," Daniel said, his voice firm. "Now." But before they could run, the cemetery gate slammed shut with a metallic clang. The drumming pounded louder, mixing with the relentless knocking. The child's cries warped into screams. They ran, tripping through weeds and broken stones. Daniel glanced back to check on Marcus, only to see that he was gone. Just gone. "Marcus!" he shouted, spinning in circles. No answer. Only the drums, beating faster. Lena's voice cracked. "He was right here." They searched, but every turn brought them back to the same broken monument. The sulfur stung their eyes. The child's cry twisted into laughter, high-pitched, mocking, and cruel. Finally, Clara spotted a hole in the wall hidden by ivy. They clawed through it, scraping skin, clothes tearing, until they tumbled out onto the roadside. The air outside was instantly clean and cool. No sulfur, no knocking, no drums. They staggered back to the car, gasping. Daniel counted, Clara, Lena, but no Marcus. They stayed until sunrise, shouting his name and combing the roadside, but he had vanished without a trace. When the police searched, they found nothing. No Marcus. No footprints. No evidence he'd ever been there at all. Weeks later, Daniel couldn't stop thinking about it. He went to the library and dug through old records. One yellowed page described the cemetery. A British regiment drummer, a child, and several soldiers were laid to rest after a skirmish. The knocks announced their presence. The sulfur betrays them. On certain nights, the drummer marches still, and the child cries out to lure the living closer. So none leave unchanged. Daniel shut the book, hands shaking. He never spoke about that night again. And Marcus was never found. But some nights, when the wind was still, Daniel swore he could hear faint drumming in the distance, beating steady as if calling him back.